In a world full of uncertainty, fear, and relentless challenges, there is one source of strength that remains unwavering: family. When everything else seems to crumble, when dreams collapse and doubts take over, it is the quiet presence of those who love us unconditionally that keeps us from falling apart. Family is not just where we begin, it's what sustains us. It's the invisible force that helps us confront our fears and rise again after failure. In this journey through life, no success is truly complete without the support of a family, and no setback is too great when we know we are not alone. Where fear is softened. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions we experience as human beings. It can freeze us in place, paralyze our progress, and convince us to give up on our dreams. Fear whispers in our ears, telling us we are not good enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. It shows up in the dark hours of the night and lingers in the background of every major decision we make. But in the presence of family, that fear begins to soften. You see, fear feeds on loneliness. It grows stronger when we feel isolated, when we believe no one understands our pain or stands by our side. That's why family matters so much, because family dissolves the illusion of being alone. In the arms of a mother who sees your worth even when you can't, in the voice of a father who tells you to keep going even when the world says stop, in the smile of a sibling who simply believes in you, fear loses its grip. Family is not always about blood. Sometimes, it's the people who choose to stand beside you when life becomes unbearable. It's those who remind you of who you are when fear tries to rewrite your story. It's those who call you by your true name when self-doubt labels you as a failure. When you're a child and you wake up from a nightmare, what do? You run to your parents. Why? Because even though the fear was real, their presence had the power to calm you down. That instinct doesn't disappear when we grow up. As adults, our fears become more complex: fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of loss. But the comfort we seek remains the same: a safe place, a steady voice, a familiar presence. That is what family provides. When we face uncertainty, our natural instinct is to retreat, to avoid risk, to stay within our comfort zone. But family can be the bridge between fear and courage. They see the version of us that still believes, still dreams, still hopes, even when we can't see it ourselves. They don't just encourage us with words, they anchor us with presence. They hold our hands when we're too afraid to move. And sometimes, just knowing that someone is there, someone who loves us regardless of the outcome, gives us the strength to take the next step. Think about the moments when you've been most afraid. Maybe it was standing at the edge of a major life decision. Maybe it was trying something new, something uncertain. Maybe it was facing failure and wondering if you could ever recover. What helped you push through? Often, it was a phone call, a hug, a quiet meal at home, a shared silence that said, "You are not alone." That's the magic of family. They remind us that fear may be real, but it is not final. Some people grow up without the warmth of a supportive family. And yet, even they often find family in other forms: friends who become siblings, mentors who become parents, communities that become homes. The structure may vary, but the principle is the same: fear begins to fade when we know we are loved. We live in a society that often glorifies independence, as if needing others is a sign of weakness. But the truth is, we are wired for connection. We are not meant to carry our burdens alone. Family is not a sign of dependence, it is a source of strength. It gives us the foundation to take risks, the courage to face uncertainty, and the resilience to endure setbacks. There will be times in life when fear feels overwhelming. Times when your confidence is shaken, your path is unclear, and your spirit is tired. In those moments, family steps in, not always with answers, but always with presence. They may not remove the storm, but they sit with you through the rain. There's a reason why the phrase "I'm going home" brings such comfort. Home is not just a place, it's a feeling. A sense of safety. A return to what is real. And home is made not of bricks and walls, but of people, people who know your story, your heart, your struggle, and love you anyway. Family is also the place where you can be your most vulnerable self. You don't have to pretend to be strong all the time. You don't have to wear a mask. In a world that demands perfection, family gives you permission to be human. To fall apart. To cry. To not have it all figured out. And in doing so, they give you the space to heal, to gather strength, and to try again. There is a quiet power in being seen and accepted, especially when you are at your weakest. Family doesn't eliminate fear, but it gives you a place to rest, to reflect, and to renew. It reminds you that fear is just one part of the story, not the end of it. So if you are facing something today that scares you, a decision, a challenge, a failure, remember this: you don't have to face it alone. Let your family be your shelter. Let them remind you of your worth, your strength, your ability to rise. Let them soften your fear, not with grand speeches, but with small acts of love, a listening ear, a shared laugh, a comforting meal. In the end, the greatest weapon we have against fear is not courage alone, it is connection. And family, in all its forms, is the deepest, most lasting connection of all. When failure no longer frightens you. Failure. It's a word that carries a heavy weight. It's the moment your plans collapse. The job you didn't get. The relationship that didn't work. The dream that didn't materialize the way you hoped. And often, what hurts most is not just the failure itself, it's the silence that follows. The feeling of being misunderstood. The fear that maybe you're not good enough after all. But what if failure didn't have to be so frightening? What if it didn't feel like the end, but rather a pause, a chance to reflect, to realign, to rebuild? That's what family offers us. A perspective rooted not in performance, but in presence. Not in judgment, but in love. You see, failure is inevitable. At some point, every one of us will fall short. No one escapes it. But what makes the difference is how we respond to it, and who stands beside us when we do. When you have family, true family, failure becomes something you walk through, not something you drown in. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall, over and over again. But there's no shame, no fear. Because every time they stumble, someone is there to cheer them on. Someone claps. Someone says, "Try again." That's the essence of what family does. They redefine failure, not as something final, but as a stepping stone. As we grow older, we begin to tie our self-worth to outcomes. We fear failure not just because it hurts, but because we think it says something about who we are. We fear being seen as weak, incapable, unworthy. But family sees beyond that. They know your heart, your journey, your struggle. They don't measure your value by your victories, they stand by you in your defeats. In a world that often punishes imperfection, family is your safe space to fail. They're the ones who still believe in you when you've stopped believing in yourself. They're the ones who remind you of your past wins when your current losses feel too heavy. They say, "So what if you failed? You're still you. You're still worthy. And you will rise again." Family teaches you resilience, not through lectures, but through example. It's the mother who kept going when life got hard. The father who started over after losing everything. The sibling who took a risk, failed, and got back up. Their stories become part of your foundation. You inherit not just their love, but their courage. And even when your failure affects them, even when your mistake causes pain, real family chooses forgiveness over blame. They may hold you accountable, but they never withhold love. That's what gives you the strength to face your mistakes and grow from them. Let's be honest, the fear of failure often stops us before we even begin. We hesitate to chase our dreams because we fear what might go wrong. But family changes that. When you know there are people who will love you even if you fail, who will still invite you to dinner, still answer your call, still see you as worthy, that fear begins to shrink. Suddenly, you feel free to try, to explore, to risk. Not because success is guaranteed, but because your value isn't riding on the outcome. Failure doesn't define you, and family makes sure you remember that. They remind you that you are more than your mistakes. That even in your lowest moments, you are still loved. That your story doesn't end here. There is something profoundly healing about hearing someone say, "It's okay. You did your best. Let's figure it out together. That one sentence can lift the heaviest burden. And often, that voice comes from someone in your family, someone who refuses to let failure be the end of your story. Let's also not forget, failure, when embraced with the right support, becomes fertile ground for transformation. Many of life's greatest successes are born from setbacks. Family helps us see the lessons, not just the losses. They help us process, regroup, and reimagine. They remind us that failure is not falling down, it's staying down. And they are the ones who reach out their hand when you're ready to rise again. Of course, not every family is perfect. Some of us come from families that were broken, toxic, or absent. But the beauty of life is that we get to choose the kind of family we build. We get to create our own circle of friends, mentors, partners who hold space for us, who love us through failure, and who remind us of our worth when we forget it ourselves. In the end, we all need that one place where it's safe to fail. Where love is not withdrawn when we fall. Where our value isn't tied to our performance. That place, that powerful, sacred place, is what family gives us. So if you've failed recently, if you're feeling like you've let yourself down or disappointed others, take a moment. Breathe. And lean into the people who love you. Let them hold you up. Let them remind you of your strength. Let them be your anchor. Because with family beside you, failure becomes something different. It becomes a chapter, not the conclusion. It becomes a lesson, not a label. And most importantly, it becomes a part of the journey that will one day make your success even more meaningful. The thread that connects willpower and courage. There are moments in life when everything depends on your ability to keep going, when quitting seems easier, and staying strong feels impossible. In those moments, we often think it's sheer willpower that keeps us moving. But if you look closer, you'll often find that behind that willpower is something deeper, connection. And at the heart of that connection is family. Willpower is the force that drives us forward. It's what helps us get up early, work harder, push through pain, and stay focused on our goals. But willpower, by itself, can run dry. It fades when we're tired, discouraged, or overwhelmed. That's when courage becomes necessary, the courage to keep going when the road is uncertain, when fear is loud, and when results are invisible. So what ties willpower to courage? What bridges the moment between pushing forward and believing you can? It's family. Family is the quiet, unseen thread that holds your spirit together. They may not be standing on the stage with you. They may not be visible when you're grinding through a hard day. But they are the reason you fight. The reason you don't give up. The reason you dare to believe that tomorrow can be better than today. Think about it. Why do people push beyond their limits? Why do they risk failure, endure pressure, and sacrifice so much? Often, it's because someone is watching. Because someone believes in them. Because someone is counting on them. That someone is family. It's not about obligation. It's about love. Love transforms effort into endurance. Love turns pressure into purpose. When you know that your actions affect the lives of those you care about, your willpower deepens. Your courage becomes less about proving something to the world, and more about showing up for the people who matter most. Many of the world's most resilient people are not driven by ambition alone, they are fueled by the invisible power of family. The single mother working 3 jobs. The immigrant building a new life. The student fighting for a better future. They are not just chasing personal success, they are building something for the people they love. That love gives birth to courage. That love sustains willpower through the darkest nights. Courage isn't always loud. It's not just about heroic actions or public victories. Sometimes, it's quietly choosing not to give up. It's taking one more step when no one's cheering. It's saying, I'll try again tomorrow, even after you've failed today. And often, what gives you the strength to do that is the memory of someone who once told you, I believe in you. That's what family does. They root for you when the world is silent. They believe in you when the world has doubts. They may not always understand your dreams, but they care about your heart. And when you feel like giving up, it's often their voice, soft, steady, and loving, that calls you back to yourself. It could be a mother who worked tirelessly so you could have a chance. A grandfather who taught you the meaning of dignity. A sister who encouraged you every time you failed. These people shape not only our past but also our present strength. Family gives us identity, a reminder of where we come from and why we fight. They remind us that we are more than our fears, more than our setbacks, more than the doubts in our mind. When the world shakes our confidence, family restores it. They say, "You've done hard things before. You can do this too." This emotional support is not weakness, it's a source of power. Research has even shown that people who feel emotionally connected to others are more resilient under stress. They recover faster. They persevere longer. They bounce back stronger. That's not coincidence, that's the human heart operating at its best when love is present. When willpower hits its limit, courage must take over. And that courage often comes not from within, but from those around us. From the child who looks up to you. From the partner who stands by your side. From the friend who reminds you who you are. Family is the thread that connects effort to meaning. They give you a why strong enough to face any how. Even when they are far away, even when they've passed on, the memory of those who've loved us becomes part of our inner strength. We carry their lessons, their words, their sacrifices, and in our hardest moments, we draw from that well. There's a saying that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Life is not a sprint, it's a long, unpredictable journey. And if you want to go far, to endure, to grow, to overcome, you need more than just grit. You need a reason that touches your heart. You need people who walk beside you. That's why family is not just comfort, they are the fuel behind your fiercest battles. They are the anchor in your chaos, the compass in your confusion, and the shield in your fear. So the next time you find yourself struggling, not with the task, but with the weight of it, pause. Remember who you're doing it for. Think of the people who have lifted you, stood by you, or believed in you even when you didn't believe in yourself. Let that memory breathe life into your courage. Because in the end, willpower may get you started. But family, love, connection, loyalty, that's what keeps you going. That's what ties determination to bravery. That's what gives you the strength to keep walking, even when the road is long. Success begins with a strong home. We often talk about success as if it begins in the outside world, in the workplace, in school, in the opportunities we chase. But true success, the kind that is lasting and fulfilling, does not begin in the boardroom or on a stage. It begins in the home. It begins in the quiet, unseen moments where character is shaped, confidence is nurtured, and values are passed down. It begins with family. A strong home is not defined by wealth or luxury. It's defined by love, safety, and belonging. It's the place where you're first taught to believe in yourself, not because you've achieved something, but simply because you exist. It's where you're reminded, again and again, that you matter, that you're capable, and that you're loved. When you grow up in a home where you are seen, supported, and encouraged, you step into the world with a foundation that cannot be shaken. You carry with you a quiet inner strength, the knowledge that no matter what happens out there, there is a place where you are safe. That knowledge gives you the freedom to take risks, to make bold choices, to rise after every fall. Even as adults, the strength of our family continues to shape the way we live and lead. A strong home life gives you emotional balance. It keeps you grounded when success comes, and it gives you stability when failure knocks. It reminds you that you are not defined by your income, your title, or your reputation, but by your integrity, your relationships, and your capacity to love and be loved. Look closely at the people you admire, those who lead with wisdom, those who remain humble in victory and resilient in defeat. More often than not, they are people who come from strong homes, or who have built strong families of their own. Because when your roots are deep, you can weather any storm. Family doesn't just prepare you for the world, it prepares you to handle success with grace. It keeps your ego in check. It reminds you of what truly matters. Success without love, without connection, is empty. But success that grows out of a strong home is rich, not just in money, but in meaning. In today's world, we are constantly told to chase more status, more followers, more possessions. But the truth is, none of that lasts. What lasts is family. What endures are the people who knew you before the titles, who stood by you through the struggle, who loved you when you had nothing to offer but your presence. That is the real measure of wealth. A strong home also creates a legacy. The love you pour into your family shapes the next generation. Your children don't just watch what you do, they absorb it. They learn how to be brave from how you face your fears. They learn how to show up from how you treat your loved ones. They learn how to succeed not just by winning, but by caring, by giving, by being true to themselves. So if you want to build a life of lasting success, start with home. Invest your best energy into the people who matter most. Be present for the small moments. Celebrate the quiet victories. Make time for laughter, for meals together, for honest conversations. These are not distractions from success, they are the foundation of it. And if your home is not yet strong, if you're rebuilding from pain, or healing from loss, know this, it's never too late to create the family you've always needed. You can be the beginning of a new legacy. You can be the one who changes everything. Family isn't perfect, and it doesn't have to be. But even imperfect love is powerful when it is sincere. At the end of the day, the world will forget many of your accomplishments. But your family, the people you loved, helped, raised, supported, they will never forget how you made them feel. And when your days are done, it won't be your trophies they hold on to. It will be the moments you shared, the comfort you gave, the example you lived. So build your home strong. Fill it with laughter, trust, kindness, and patience. Make it a place where courage is born and fear is softened. Where failure is met with grace, and success is shared with joy. Because everything we do, every goal we chase, every dream we pursue, it all means more when we have someone to come home to. Family is not a background character in your success story, it is the source of your greatest strength. It's where you find your reason, your resilience, and your deepest joy. Let the world see your victories. But let your family be the reason behind them. In a world that often rewards independence and celebrates individual achievement, we sometimes forget the quiet force that makes our strength possible. It's not the spotlight that gives us courage, it's the people who stand just beyond it. It's not success that makes us whole, it's the love we carry with us as we rise, fall, and rise again. Family is not just our starting point, it is the constant thread running through every chapter of our journey. They are our refuge in fear, our shelter in failure, and our anchor in success. So wherever life takes you, whatever mountain you climb or battle you face, remember this, you are never alone. Behind every bold step you take is the quiet power of those who love you, and that, more than anything, is what makes you truly unstoppable.